Hi, this is Chad. Thanks so much for joining the podcast again. We're recording in person at a innovation conference, and this topic is about product operations. A lot of teams, product teams, are drowning in documentation, don't have a clear focus, might not really know what the North Star is, what they're aiming towards. And many groups have adopted product operations. And when I say many, those have adopted, have told me it's been really successful for them, but a lot of organizations actually don't know about this yet. And it might be something that can really help you. And we're going to dive into details about what product operations is. I am joined by Robert Marten. He's the Senior Manager of Product Operations at Pendo. If you've been in product management for a bit, you may recognize Pendo as the software tool that helps people writing software products themselves really augment them with instrumentation to get better insights. You can give us a little soundbite on that. But in a previous episode, we had your co-founder on talking about some of the benefits of this. I can put a link in the show notes to that. But Robert is there revolutionizing how Pendo actually does operations themselves. He has a unique background spanning military operations as an Air Force commander to leading agile transformations at Johnson & Johnson. And Robert brings a systems thinking approach to product development and product management. And I'm just glad we get a chance to talk.
Thanks so much for having me. It's really great to be here.
How can you unlock your full potential as a product manager? We're sharing the product management insights you need. They are based on the 7 research-backed knowledge areas for product mastery. You'll learn to create products customers love, enhance your influence, and elevate your career. Welcome to Product Mastery Now, hosted by Dr. Chad McAllister, product management professor, practitioner, and your guide.
This is an area that I'm not super comfortable with, right?
Sure.
So
A lot of people
operations, it's not something I have personally lived through.
Right.
It's a newer sort of concept.
Absolutely.
On the project management side, I've lived through PMOs, the Project Management Office, which I think is a similar concept in the notion of let's standardize and improve what we're doing in our product development, product management sort of work.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
So let's start with the foundation.
Yeah.
What is product operations?
Yeah. So at its base, product operations really is efficiency. How can we execute on the product's mission as efficiently and effectively as possible, get the highest ROI, and also be scalable? How can we put things into place that are going to work for us today and make us more efficient that don't have to be changed as we grow and we add new people to the organization? There's a lot of different ways that we can do that. The 3 tenets really specific to product operations that we focus on, at least at Pendo, are the tools, the data, and the process. And it's funny that you mentioned PMO. I don't think a lot of product operations teams are structured like this yet. But the way we have it is we have a product operations umbrella. We have 2 teams underneath that, our traditional product operations managers, and then also we have a program management team. So our project management is also under that product operations umbrella.
Okay, let's dive into that structure a little bit,
Yeah.
and then we'll get back to your categories. So some things that happened when organizations embraced the PMO model was that they recognized project management was helpful to them.
Yep.
They wanted to get better at that, kind of standardize it, make sure all the views that are going up to the stakeholders look similar, so it's easier to do that. And over time, it became heavy too.
Yeah.
And as you talked about, kind of this 3-part structure.
Yep.
What is the added weight to that? Is there a lot of dual hatting in there, like a product manager is also maybe working in an ops role?
We try not to dual hat, especially for younger businesses that might not have the need for a full-time product operations individual. Then the dual hatting definitely makes sense. There comes a point where it makes a little bit more sense to separate those and let the product managers focus really on the deep product management work, and let the product operations manager worry about giving more time to the PMs to do that deep work. There's always cost with process. And so it really comes down to, is this going to be an ongoing problem that we're trying to solve within the organization, or was this a one-off that we don't need to put process in? I also feel like if you're in an operations role, your number one objective should be to remove process. Because one, in my opinion, it's more difficult to remove process than it is to implement. And 2, when you have those things stack up over time, And as fast as we're moving today, it's real easy for things to become out of date and it's not filling the purpose that it did when it was implemented. So let's get rid of that stuff and just pave the way. The goal is not standardization, the goal is efficiency. So if standardization is getting in the way of efficiency,
Right.
use your operations team to get rid of that stuff.
Right. So we're not adding bureaucracy.
Right.
We're trying to get more lean, more efficient.
Yeah. There's definitely times where the cost of the process is far outweighed by the benefits, and it gives everybody more time and money back. But we always need to be on the lookout. We always need to have our number one goal be to remove process that isn't meeting that criteria.
Okay. So with this light on efficiency,
Yeah.
you mentioned like, trying to maybe speed onboarding, make that more efficient too.
Yep.
What are some of the issues, the bottlenecks that come up with product teams where you're seeing product operations really shine to help with those?
Yeah. It's funny, you mentioned a couple of them in the introduction. One is communication. Communication is so incredibly difficult for so many different reasons. And one place where standardization really helps is with aggregating the communications up to the right people at the right time. So if everybody's putting the similar communication in a similar format into a similar place, it makes it really easy to broadcast that out to the wider organization. If we have one person using one format in Google Docs and another person using another format in Miro and another person using another format in Confluence, it's really difficult to provide transparency and to give people across the organization the information they need to make the best decisions possible.
Right.
So,
quick example that surprised me on that. A previous guest I was so excited to talked about launch planning at Meta.
Yep.
So Facebook days, I think at the time, but at Meta, and it's like launch is also I'm usually the front end sort of person, and launches don't excite me, but so I was excited to learn more about how does Meta plan for a launch and how do they actually do that, right?
Yeah.
And you talk through that, and the tool they use is Excel. Like, oh, that's interesting. I would kind of expect maybe something more visible, web-based, transparent, right? That you don't have to know where the last version of things are.
Yep.
And then he said, yeah. And then when I went to another product team, we use this other tool.
Yep.
I went, well, you don't have a standardized tool for launch. That sounds painful.
Yeah.
Right?
Super painful.
Yeah.
Super painful. And that's when you get into...
Yeah, and I didn't mean to offset
Oh,
from,
no,
but you're
not
talking
at
about
all.
communications.
Yep.
Having that standardized reporting
Yep.
really simplifies the communications aspect.
It really does. And when it's not standardized, you get into the situations where you're putting the same information into 10 different slide decks,
Right.
Which causes problems because that information becomes out of date and only 5 of those get updated, and it causes confusion and chaos. And I think it's even going to be more important going into the agentic world. So we can point our AI agents to the right place to get the right information and distribute that in an even more timely fashion to the rest of the organization. In the past, it's been, let's create transparency so people can go and find the information they need. Now, I think with the agentic world, we can move more towards pushing that information to the right people at the right time.
Right. Okay. And so that also gives us the currency of information. We're all looking at the most recent information as well.
100%.
So communication, that's a bottleneck, an issue for us.
Yes, absolutely. The other one that I see a lot that's an easy trap to fall into, and I might not describe it as much as a bottleneck, but as an inefficiency, is continually referencing our product work in terms of the scope instead of solving the customer problem. And it's so much easier in day-to-day short conversation to refer to that scope, but it leads to inefficiencies in either not killing a feature soon enough or killing it too soon. In that, if we're focused on the customer problem and we're focusing on learning how to solve that problem in the best, most efficient way possible, maybe the road that we're going down isn't the right one. But if we're continually talking about scope, everybody focuses on, hey, let's get that feature finished. On the other side, we might get that feature finished and we're like, okay, done, let's go home, let's go on to the next thing. But did we really solve that customer problem that we set out to solve in the first place? So I think framing and tooling can actually have a significant impact on that. Like if you have a field and you always reference the customer problem that we're solving instead of the title of the feature that we're building, we can influence the language that people use across the organization.
We just had this morning these lightning talk sessions at the conference here.
Yeah.
And one of them was from PMI, the Project Management Institute.
Yep.
And they did some recent research, they said, across 10,000 people, and that I think it was 79% of product managers have in the past at least managed a project, or if not, been a project manager, but,
Absolutely.
some role managing project.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of this is a cultural issue, right? Because certainly I also came from the project management sort of world, and doing engineering work and did the PMI certification stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I feel more of a emphasis on you have to accomplish the requirements, you have to accomplish the scope.
Yep.
And a big thing that Agile principles brought us, and most of us are doing Scrum these days, is hopefully this notion that we're embracing, like we're really there to deliver value for the customer.
Yeah.
If we find out features requirements are not needed for that, they should come off of the list.
Yep.
And not blindly just continue on getting them done because they were documented someplace as a requirement.
Absolutely.
And I think it's probably more culture than anything, because some people that just feels uncomfortable. Like, no, this was in a roadmap.
Yeah.
This was in a requirement spec. We need to do it.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, and that goes into probably unhelpful process in that, hey, okay, this is the requirements document, and we're going to execute on all of these requirements, which isn't. Those should be documented, but it's easy to lose focus of the end goal and the outcomes that we're trying to drive.
Right. Okay. And product ops can help with that culture element too, right? Like
100%.
we expect to have that freedom here.
Yeah.
Make that clear.
So for us, we have there are two different groups. Our program managers work with the PMs at the outset of the project to define, hey, what is that customer problem? We use templates for product requirements documents where that's highlighted. We work with them to define success criteria. So what are the signals so that we know that we've solved that original problem? And then on the more product operations manager side, like I said, our status reporting tools, the places where we aggregate information, the number one field that we show to people is going to be that customer problem instead of the name of the feature. And we can affect language and culture that way as well.
Okay. I'm curious, an interesting topic that's come up a few times here at the conference is the amount of time spent on presentations to stakeholders and specifically senior leaders.
Yes.
Earlier on, and part of, well, here's an idea we have, here's the impact on the market, does it make sense for our organization? Trying to get support, maybe by senior leadership to move forward on something.
Absolutely.
Does product ops get involved in that sort of thing too? And standardizing maybe the communications for?
Yeah, so we will have, we have the product development lifecycle mapped out in a Kanban style board, so that we can see the different phases that everything's in. So you can see what it is that product managers across the organization are ideating on at that time. We also help manage cadences. So we meet in our organization, the product org meets every 6 weeks, and we look at the outcomes from the things that we have launched to our customers and evaluate, hey, did we meet the criteria to solve the customer problem? If not, why? If we did, why? What lessons can we take back into the product? And then we also look at the forward-looking work that our product managers are proposing to put on the roadmap and are able to get executive feedback, peer feedback on those items as well.
Okay. I can see that being advantageous. A lot of product managers haven't had the experience yet of pitching to senior leadership, right? The C-suite.
Yeah.
And having some help and guidance and tools, like, not repeating the
100%
work here.
Even something as simple as a slide format. Like, hey, here's the recommended information that we put into a slide. And you can modify that. That's okay if you need to send a different message if it doesn't fit. But process really should be freeing creativity. If it's stifling creativity, we're probably doing it wrong. Just giving that person an outline of, hey, here's the information that we know executives are looking for. Right. Goes a long way.
This is your audience. This is what's important to them.
Yep.
These are the things you need to align to.
And they can spend less time worrying about that messaging and developing that content in a slide, and more time really understanding their customers and the problem they're trying to solve.
Okay. So we've talked a little bit about structure, some of the things in there. How does this all come together? So if I was going to come up with the process for product ops,
Yes.
how do you think about this?
Oh, the process for product ops and how to put it all together. Really, the process is put in place not for product operations, but for the rest of the product org. Like how can we make sure that everybody in that product org is spending as much time as possible doing deep, meaningful work and as little time as possible in the administrivia, the day-to-day that we all love. So really the process is for product operations. To get that into place, I think happens over time. It happens over growth. I think the best thing that organizations can do and leadership can do and your product team can do to help that out is bring problems to your product operations team. Don't treat it as a transactional ticket team. Yes, we can make the changes to tooling that's needed. Yes, we can provide a template, but take internal problems to the team. Hey, I think I'm seeing some real inefficiency here. Or, hey, I have to do this weird process every time I launch something. This doesn't make sense to me. Go in with curiosity, bring them problems. We love solving problems. That is our pride and joy. And if you give us a problem and you're like, hey, I think this is a bottleneck, I think this is slowing us down, give it to your product operations team and let them run with it.
Okay. You mentioned this really revolves around efficiency is the goal, and then there's tools, data, and process that makes all this work.
Yes.
And I'd like to get more clarity around certainly the tools aspect.
Yep.
And maybe, I don't know if this is a good time to tie that into an example. If you have an example of, like, what have you done at Pendo to make this work, and what do we see, in terms of tools used, and what kind of data is part of this?
Hopefully it's no surprise that we use Pendo pretty heavily at our organization.
And for those that don't know, give us a description of what Pendo is.
So Pendo is made for product management teams. We make the world's experience with software better. So we provide a wide variety of analytics that show exactly how users are interacting with your tool. So you can see journeys, workflows, replays. We have a great voice of the customer tool called Listen, where we collect all of the feedback that we're getting to the PMs, to our customer-facing teams, and we can aggregate that and turn that into usable information for our product team. We have ways to interact with our customers online without using coders through our guides. So we glean a lot of information from that. And in the product operations role, our goal is to keep that data as clean as possible so that our PMs can, or clean is probably the wrong word, as organized as possible, so our PMs can glean that key information quickly. So making sure our product areas make sense with how our organization is structured, creating verified segments so our PMs can just go in, utilize that segment, and reach or analyze the right customer base. Another tool set outside of Pendo that we use for status reporting is Airtable. I'm relatively tool agnostic. I think every tool has pros and cons when it comes to things like status reporting, but Airtable does give us a lot of flexibility. So that's how we track our progress on the products that we're putting out, and then also the go-to-market side, post-engineering, all the different things that we need to do to prepare our organization to sell and support that product that we've worked so hard to put out to the customer.
Okay. So obviously you use this augmentation tool yourself, Pendo, to understand how things are being done. That does collect a bunch of data.
Yes.
As well.
Yep.
And then Airtable really for keeping track of
that's our source of truth, status reporting. How are things progressing? What are the next steps? What are we releasing to our customers? When are we releasing it to our customers, and broadcasting that out to the rest of the organization?
Okay. Did you experiment with other tools? Did you try other things in there along the way? You said, it's more than we need.
Yeah, we did. We did a little bit with Atlassian, which is a great product. That the reason we went with Airtable is we have a lot of information in there, but we can create very customized views based on the department or the individual, even what is important to them. So it just gave us a lot of flexibility.
Okay, yeah, so flexibility is key.
Yes.
So it's a pretty small tool set.
Relatively small. Yeah, we do use the Atlassian suite. We do administer Jira for all of R&D product and engineering. We use Miro, Figma for design. But main focus is going to be Pendo, Airtable, and the Atlassian suite.
Okay. Yeah, for product ops.
Yep.
Okay. And then what's an example of like data that you've gotten that has been helpful, and how does data flow into this mix?
I think the most helpful data that we look at is really related to, as you mentioned at the beginning, that North Star, and whittle that down to what we expect to achieve with our individual releases. Adoption metrics are probably the easiest one to focus on. Like, okay, how many people are coming back to this tool over and over again? That's a great signal that we solved that customer problem. And then we also have macro views of, hey, what is the mission of our product analytics team? What is their North Star? What are they trying to drive in the next 6 months, 1 year, 2 years? And how are we progressing against that? So one thing that we were driving in analytics specifically was some of our more advanced use cases, trying to make those more accessible to a wider variety of people, not having to be necessarily a power user to go and use some of the more advanced features in analytics. And so we had a dashboard showing adoption of those, and we're able to watch it slowly tick up as we release things over time. So it's great to align people towards that common mission.
Okay. On the people side of this,
Yep.
So if you got product ops
Yeah.
that are there to really make the product managers more efficient,
Yes.
how does this flow into helping the people themselves advance in their career, in their skill set, and their knowledge? Is product ops involved in this?
I would say secondarily, yes, involved in that we want people in those roles who are best at that deep work, that deep understanding, that competitive analysis, really understanding what is going to resonate with customers in our space. And so our goal in product operations then is to give them as much time as we possibly can to focus on that, and focusing more on that core mission and that core value offering that you have as an individual just allows you to build that brand and kind of shine in the organization.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I would expect having a capability, product ops in the organization that is basically saying, this is how we do things.
Yep.
Right? This is the culture that we want to achieve.
Yeah.
That a product manager coming into that organization gets up to speed faster.
Yes.
And also just their skills and knowledge are probably developing more quickly.
Yep, absolutely.
Because there's in some sense recipes of, this is how work happens and how we do things.
Yeah. And just to plug again, to take problems to your product operations team, imagine how good it would look if you went and worked with your product operations team and solved a major problem in your product department and created all this efficiency, and take that to your manager and be like, hey, look at all this great work we did.
Right. I would believe that Pendo did not begin with a product operations group.
Yep.
And at some point over time, someone said, I think we can do better with what we're doing for product management. Mm-hmm. How do we help add some efficiency to this?
Yeah.
And product ops was a thing that was looked at and brought in.
Yes, 100%. So just to be fair, product operations has been there during my 5-year tenure. So it came pre Robert Marten joining Pendo, but product operations is still relatively new. It's only been around for 6, 7, 8 years. And as the tool sets that are available to product teams have become more advanced, that was probably more of the driving factor of, hey, we need some people to come in and help us manage these tool sets. And so that's kind of what happened at Pendo as well. And we've had a team for 6, 7 since product operations became a thing in the industry. We've brought in people to help us go along that journey. And I think it's going to be even more important with AI tools coming on board. How do we integrate those into the processes to make us work more efficiently? Yes, a product manager could do that, but is that where you want them spending their time? Is that their specialty?
Right.
Let's have some people that are really focused, understand the system of the product team holistically, and can put those in very high impact places in the organization.
Okay. I don't know if you have any purview of product ops in other organizations. Just
A little bit. I don't want to overstate my knowledge, but I get to talk with product
Yeah.
operations people every now and then.
I just was curious if you saw any contrast between what's going on at Pendo versus others, and if there's a reason that there might be a contrast there, maybe by nature of what the Pendo product itself is.
Yeah, a few things. Probably the biggest thing that I see is a lot of product operations. It usually does take on that voice of the customer. And I do talk to some product operations professionals that is 90% of their job is to aggregate user feedback coming in from all of these different avenues. And I'm not trying to turn this into too much of a commercial, but it is really nice to have a tool that takes care of that for us. That is a very minor part of our day-to-day at Pendo.
Yeah. Being able to leverage Pendo.
Yeah. I'm always very thankful when I talk to those people who spend a lot of time grabbing that information from different sources and trying to aggregate it manually.
Right. I still remember when I talked with Todd, your co-founder, on a previous episode. Well, Lincoln. He shared an example, which might be a little bit fogging my brain, but what stands out is a woman who was doing bookkeeping or accounting work on something, right?
Yep.
And she would have to go through like this whole series of screens to get this thing done.
Yeah.
And the software happened to have Pendo behind it, and the people with that recognized that people were trying to get this one task done, and it could be all done on the same screen, so they changed the user interface, and it saved her like 5 hours a week.
I love that.
And she called in to the producer of the software, taught her this right, I guess, from the client, and in happy tears, because this was such a big deal, that it was something that she had never asked for, never thought about, it's just kind of the way it is.
Yep.
But someone was paying attention to how the product was being used and made it better based on the data they got out of Pendo.
Yeah. That's the mission. That's the goal. That's what we're trying to drive at Pendo.
Yeah. So for product ops, as a software company, that seems like a benefit that might be not present in some other organizations.
And something that people don't think about that's really useful from a product operations standpoint is you can put Pendo on internal software tools as well and see how people are using your internal suite, how your employees are using it, how your more effective employees are using it, and take those lessons and spread it around to the rest of the organization and help onboard people as well. So there's an internal use case there also.
What's like a few tangible benefits, takeaways that you've seen there at Pendo of using product ops, like faster time to market, more responsive to what customers actually need?
Yep. The biggest benefit for me, and we had this question come up in a PDMA discussion as well, is the lack of chaos and questions. The hey, what happened? The decrease in the number of fires, having everyone on the same page. It's hard to measure, but it's very tangible when you're in an organization and everybody's has all these questions, not sure what's going on, to a point where everybody's on that same page.
Right.
Is amazing.
Right. I'm sure when you said fires, a lot of listeners had the same response, which I was, that like some days you come into work with your plan of what to get done, and you spend your whole day putting fires out, and you have the same list tomorrow, and it feels crummy because you don't feel like you made any progress, and this happens day after day at times.
Yes, and I don't think we're ever going to get rid of that completely.
Sure.
But I can say that in my product operations journey at Pendo, there's been a tangible difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, very good. What have we not talked about product operations that you were really hoping to share?
Oh, I think we've hit everything that I thought through coming in. I hope so.
And I did ask you to bring a quote because we like quotes.
Yes.
And if you can share that, and also why you chose that, what that means to you.
Yeah. So we're at the PDMA conference, and they partner with the Deming Institute. And Edward Deming is kind of a hero, might be a strong term, but somebody whose ideas I look up to. So I brought a couple of his quotes. One is, "Learning is not compulsory, neither is survival." So it's all about that adaptation as a product organization, learning from your customer as a product operations, or my customer is the product department, getting rid of process, learning, wait, this is not helpful, this is helpful, adapting to it. And the other one is every system is perfectly designed to get the result it gets. That's something that I live my life by. Like, if you're getting this result, that's because of how your system is set up. Your system is designed to give that, and you need to go back and look at that system and change it to get a different result.
Right. Yeah. For whatever reason, this image just flashed in my brain was going to the driving range at the golf course, right? Yep. And the system of, where do I want the ball to go? And it's like, okay, the ball didn't go where I thought it was going to go. Oh, my feet are not lined up right. Yeah. And it's like, the things that you put in place dictate the outcome that you get.
Absolutely. Every time.
Yeah. Right.
Every time. That's a fantastic analogy.
So it's, you got to have the right system. So this is very good. We have mentioned we're at this PDMA conference. This is a sponsored podcast by PDMA. They invited me to come do some interviews here. So PDMA is this great organization. I have had a personal relationship with them for about 2 decades now as a member. And I came across that because one day I was out searching for an organization that, like Project Management Institute, might help me with some of the things I was running into as a product manager.
Yeah.
And I did a Google search and I found PDMA. And they have a ton of resources. They have a certification program called the New Product Development Professional, which I and a few others did. And we just found that really valuable, right? So we built our own little study group to study for that and found what we learned super helpful to our careers. And consequently, I've gone on to teach others, and that's one thing I talk about when I talk about my rapid product mastery experience, the RPM experience, to help product managers learn those skills. But PDMA provides this body of knowledge. They do the research, they curate the information, and they share best practices with the practitioners. And the members really are the ones that are leading innovation, some of the most recognized companies around the world and emerging companies as well.
Yeah.
And if you want to find out about the resources, about being a member, simply go to pdma.org. When it comes to you and product ops and Pendo, what's the best way for people to find out more information about what's going on?
100%. Reach out to me on LinkedIn. Robert Marten, Marten. I spell it funny, but I love talking with other product operations professionals across the organization. Like I said, it's still new, and we're all still trying to figure it out. And anytime that we get to connect across different organizations, I feel like there's a lot of learning that happens there. So please feel free to reach out to me.
Very good. And Pendo is at?
Pendo.io.
I couldn't remember
Pendo.io, yes.
Yeah, the domain. Pendo.io. Fantastic. Robert, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much for having
Product
me.
Ops.
Yeah, this has been great.
Been fun. And listeners, if you do want to find the written version of what we discussed and any links that we discussed as well, simply go to productmasterynow.com/568. As always, keep innovating.
Thank you for listening to Product Mastery Now, where product leaders and managers gain product mastery through practical knowledge, influence, and confidence. By listening, you are becoming a product master, creating products customers love. Find additional resources at productmasterynow.com. Keep innovating.